This is the 2026 expat alert. This is why America's collapse is forcing mature adults and expats to rethink their relocation and their freedom abroad. Now zoom in with me for a moment. Let's be a bit creative together. It's 2026 and you're packed to leave America for good. But one thing stops you at the gate. It's not your visa, it's not your ticket, it's not anything else, but it's your phone. That's the new digital wall that no one's talking about. Under the 2026 Biometric Enforcement Act, your mobile device becomes your de facto ID connected to your passport, which, by the way, Apple ID has already told its users that their passports are going to be connected to their Apple ID. This is not a movie. This is not the Sci-Fi Channel. This is the world in 2026 and beyond. And listen, this can even be synced with your vaccine record or your financial information, just about anything that they would like to sync to it, even your heartbeat, because a lot of people use what? Those smartwatches to track their steps and their heartbeats, okay? If you don't opt into the system, you don't board that plane. In other words, your right to move is now a privilege granted if your digital signature is compliant with America. And listen, as if all of that wasn't enough, remember, we are in the middle of a government shutdown in America. I believe we're on day 25. If you're watching this on a Monday, like tomorrow, but if this comes out on a Sunday, right? Are we counting the weekends? Are we counting weekdays? How are they counting this? The second largest government shutdown in history. When's it going to open back up? If it opens back up? Because remember, thousands and thousands of federal workers have no pay right now. And they have already announced November 1st, I believe that's next Saturday, food stamps are going to be cut off, as well as Medicaid payments, okay? We are coming to a time in the American empire where it is fully collapsing. And then we have market crashes, shutdown chaos. And listen, while your phone may block your future flight, what's happening inside the US is even worse, because nearly 42 million Americans are at risk of food stamp suspension due to the October 2025 government shutdown, with 32 states already announcing delays in SNAP distributions. Now, let's go to the stock market. The S&P 500 fell 7% in a single week, erasing over 2.1 trillion in investor money and value. And then retail bankruptcies hit a 9-year high, with Rite Aid, Express, and Joann Fabrics. Who remembers Joann Fabrics? Did y'all ever go there? We used to go there as children. Shuttering hundreds of stores in Q4 alone. So what's the signal here, friends? What does all of this mean? America is quietly imploding on itself. But the gates are being locked in for you, meaning you may not be getting out unless you plan strategically right now and prepare your bags like yesterday. If you're waiting for CNN to call it a collapse, you're already 3 years too late. Here's the official rule of 2026 already happening in several G7 countries across Europe. Your passport, according to the Bloomberg analysis, will become a digital travel credential. Somebody leave a comment down below if you know what this means, okay? Because this is a system where your passport is embedded into your mobile device and cross-referenced with those facial scans that we have been talking about on this channel, with the EES entry-exit system taking place across the European Union. It has not hit a lot of other countries yet, except maybe like a Singapore and like random countries throughout Asia. But this is why it's so important that you relocate to somewhere that is not super technologically advanced. It's actually maybe a little bit more developing, a little bit more quote unquote unhinged and inconvenient, because inconvenience is going to be your freedom token in this new world system that they have. And listen, the US CBP's One App integrates biometric identity checks and facial recognitions at dozens of international airports already. By late 2026, over 47 countries are expected to join the interoperable, meaning people across a variety of nations and continents can all use these systems. Europe to America, America to Europe, America to Singapore, wherever these systems are being implemented by IATA, Apple ID, and airport scan points. So your livelihood just got a lot more condensed. Now listen, I need to tell you about the Mature Adult Intensive happening next week, November 6th. This is cohort 3. We've had so many members, which by the way, you can subscribe to members if you want to see our journey across East Africa, now here to Mauritius. But so many members, especially mature adults, are saying, I don't know how to gather everything that I need. I don't know which healthcare I should buy. You need to do safety wing. That's a little tip for you. But they're just like, there's so much paperwork. They're overwhelmed. They're exhausted. They feel like they're doing this all alone because they of course still have to pack their bags. They of course still have to talk to their family or tie up other ends in the US. And it's like, man, I wish I had someone in my corner who could assist me through this process mentally and strategically and make sure I dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's. Head to www.journeywithus.com or journeywithusmovetoafrica.com and check out the link in the description if you want to learn about the Journey with Us Mature Adult Intensive. Get this. This is a test of control, not convenience. So yes, they're going to tell you, we just want to make it easier for you to pay all your bills in one tap and to have your passport in one tap. We're in the technology age. We have AI. We have this going for us. We have that going for us. We need you to just be integrated. Soon they're going to be saying, just put this chip in your hand. It's real simple. It's even easier than holding an iPhone because why should your fingers be stressed out like that? But we all know, or at least those of us who are wise, biblically discerning, and have a healthy fear of the Most High, this is actually the point in history where it's going to get a lot more dark than this. What happens when your phone is dead, lost, or flagged? Will your freedom to board a plane hinge on your battery life? Or will a political opinion on social media result in a delayed boarding? Remember, America is implementing this already for immigrants. It's only a matter of time before European countries and maybe more westernized countries do the same thing. Will your retirement savings be frozen because your phone wasn't verified or because you looked up the wrong thing on social media? We are entering a world where your entire life is permission based. And I don't know about y'all, I'm not too comfortable with that. That's why I live abroad. I like to live on purpose in developing third world countries, because I promise you, the third world countries are going to be the the very last ones standing with what a semblance of freedom used to look like. Because just remember, before 2022, we didn't know about ChatGPT. We didn't know about all this super tech AI. Although AI has been out for a while, they had different AI way back when, I've been in marketing for 9 years. They had different AI mechanisms back then, but nothing like ChatGPT. But now we're so used to it. I mean, I've seen like these crazy videos about the whole food stamps cutoff situation, people running in Walmart, people back in our hometown saying, oh, that's probably the Walmart on Morris Road. And it's like, no, it's actually AI. This is why mature adults need younger people to discern these things for them, because the times are getting crazy. Like, it's really weird that you have all these fake AI videos running about and this random stuff. And you're like, is this real or not? Is this that Walmart that's right down the street from me? Is this the Walmart that's right there? And it's like, no, it's all AI generated. And actually the younger generation, like my children, they have an eye for AI even better than I do. We'll do like these little games essentially and basically quiz each other like, is this real or is this AI? And they'll show me like, that is AI, Mom. I'm like, it looks really real, but they're like, that is definitely AI. Now, if you're 40 plus and you're considering life abroad, this is not fear mongering, it's preparation. You can look at your local Walmart, your local Trader Joe's, your Kroger. You can look at the price of eggs. You can look at the price of steaks. You can look and walk outside and feel the tension within America. I felt it way back in 2019 and 2020. So I know it's amplified since then. And I have been outside of America for the entire time, living my best life and giving birth to children abroad. If you feel like you have limited clarity on property laws, residency, or digital ID laws, or you're simply tired of reacting instead of planning, again, the Mature Adult Intensive could be for you. It's a 4-week virtual program for people who are ready to be sovereign exit strategists. You know, the type that don't have to fly back to America back and forth because they actually choose the right, least corrupt country in Africa or a country in Asia that's appropriate for them with the appropriate residence that fits their situation. Because listen, a lot of people don't understand, which I'm not sure why, but if they would just research and take the time, they would see every single country has a different work and residence process, okay? There are retirement options, there are digital nomad options, there are self-employed entrepreneur options, there are tech and AI options, there are so many options out there. But unless you speak to someone who is well versed in the industry, then you're gonna be left in the dark, which is gonna cost you big time. But also, here's the thing. When we do these Mature Adult Intensive, we like it to be incubated, private. You know, we want you to feel safe, especially if you have a lot of things going on. And so we actually only invite 4 people, and this channel gets over 3 million views. And so it's like, you really have a limited time, limited seats. You get your 40-page workbook, financial and visa clarity, safety and corruption index by country, which is oh so important, especially if you're a member, you already know, digital ID and land ownership rules, and lifetime replay access. Okay, check out the links in the description because this world's getting crazy, okay? And so I know what you're thinking by now. You're like, okay, so where do we go from here? Well, countries like Mauritius, Botswana, Thailand are now becoming havens for Americans with moderate income, professional skill sets, and a true desire for peace. However, many of these nations, especially if you do not know their requirements and understand the language that they use with immigration, are increasing their residency requirements, demanding minimum income or health tests. I think that's just a little bit extra, but you know, it is what it is, especially if you're of retirement age. They just want to make sure like people are healthy in their country, okay? And then some are even saying the cost of not relocating will outweigh the cost of transition, which I believe is absolutely true, because here's the way I look at it, you know, and I'm a writer, so I'm very creative, but what I see in my head, what I see right now is the cost of not relocating is your flight tickets are going to double and triple. Our clients have already experienced this. When you wait a little bit too long, you have to pay the I waited too long price. And then it gets a little bit harder because people tend to tighten up visas, tighten up residencies, especially when you have these wonderful digital nomad programs. Now, it's very interesting that Europe, where their populations are steeply declining, they're making it really easy. France, the Netherlands, they make it super, super easy. Easier than like all African countries to migrate to, even easier than some Asian countries. But we all know because the value add is leaving Europe and the value add is going to Asia and Africa. Okay, that's where the futuristic value add is. And so it just kind of is what it is. So I want you to be aware of that. Now remember, smartphones were the Trojan horse, but now they're your gatekeepers. You've probably heard this quote before. First they sell it as convenience, then they frame it as safety. Finally, it becomes obligation. We're in phase 3, friends. Your ability to travel, grab groceries, get your health care, and have income is now tethered to a digital identity, on top of the fact that AI robots are basically going to rule the economy in America. Listen, do not wait until the agent says that you cannot board your flight. This isn't about passports anymore. This is about your freedom to travel and your rights as a natural human citizen who, by the way, was made by a creator whose image you are made in the likeness of. You were not created to be under these super controlled surveillance systems, but they're coming anyway. This is your final sign to begin planning before the gate closes. 2026 is fast approaching. There are still visa-free African countries, decent Asian countries, decent even Caribbean countries that you can go to if that's where you want to go. But you have to make sure your strategy is written down and you have risk analysis embedded in it. Because remember, when your phone becomes your passport, it'll be the last thing that's still analog. use wisdom. Shalom, shalom. I'll see you in the next video. Prepare. Let me know how you're preparing for this. Are you leaving America? Are you staying in America? You already know what me and my family are doing. We are staying out of America and the West indefinitely, because these digital control systems are nothing to play with. But thank the Most High that He has designated Goshens within certain African countries, Goshens within certain Asian countries, and Goshens within certain islands of the sea. Let the wise see, hear, and discern what the Spirit is saying. See you next time.